And then we did the nomenclature of alcohols and ethers as well. And yeah, I think that's the last thing we did.
Okay.
Nomenclature
Thank
of
you.
ethers.
It's actually, we are still in the introduction part of the chapter. We were just familiarizing with the different types of alcohol, phenols, and ether. So basically, alcohols and phenols, or even ethers, are derivative, considered as a derivative of hydrocarbon. So in alcohol and phenol, you have OH group as a functional group, but in ethers, it's basically alkoxy or aryloxy group is replacing hydrogen from a hydrocarbon. So we did the normal classification, just like haloalkanes and arine. We have mono, di, tri, or polyhydric compound. And again, the second type of classification is based on the sp2 hybridization or sp3 hybridization. So basically, you have primary, secondary, and tertiary in all these categories. And we discussed about allelic and benzylic. That is when allelic is when you have a carbon attached to a double bond. That carbon is allelic carbon, and OH attached to allelic carbon is allelic alcohol. Then we discuss about benzylic alcohol. That is when OH group is attached to the carbon which is next to a benzene ring. And these two are allelic and benzylic are sp3 carbon OH bond. And the second classification is sp2 carbon OH bond, where we discuss vinylic and phenols. Then the classification of ethers is based on the type of alkyl group on the other side of oxygen. So we classified it as simple or symmetrical and mixed or unsymmetrical. And we started with the nomenclature of alcohols and phenol, which is just follow the normal IUPAC rules. But in the case of ethers, it's a new thing as oxygen is connecting two different alkyl groups. So we started discussing the first few examples, but there are some more examples left. Did we discuss these questions? Did we?
No.
Okay, so let's start today's discussion by solving these questions related to the either. So what you have to do is like write the common name and also the IUPAC name for these two compounds. So let's start with the first one. So you just apply your understanding what we discussed on the IUPAC and the common naming system for ethers. Okay, let's start. Ayan, can you hear me, Ayan?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. What will be the common name for the first compound? What is the naming, how you will name as per the common naming system?
Yes, ma'am.
In common naming system, you have to consider the two carbon chains as alkyl groups, and you just add the word either at the end. So which are the alkyl groups present here? Which are the two alkyl groups here, Ayan?
Ma'am, CH3.
CH3 is what? What is its name, CH3? What is the name of CH3 alkyl?
Methyl.
Methyl, yeah. Methyl, because it's from methane, it's derived, so it's methyl. What is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
and what is the second alkyl group here?
Propyl.
Is it normal propyl?
No, ma'am.
Yeah,
Isopropyl.
isopropyl. Yes, Yusuf, correct. That means here it is isopropyl, which is different from normal propyl in common naming system, because if you see the carbon is at the central carbon. So 1, 2, 3, if you number, the bonding is done through the second carbon. In the previous examples, yesterday's example, if you could see, it was like 3 carbons were in a chain and the end carbon was connected with oxygen. So that is where we name it as normal propyl or N-propyl. And here it will be isopropyl. Either. This is what the common naming system. Again, I'm repeating as just to refresh. That means in common naming system for ethers, you have to consider the two alkyl groups separately and name these alkyl group and followed with the word either. So one is methyl group, other one is isopropyl group. So the name of the compound is methyl isopropyl ether. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then let's discuss about its IUPAC name. Fadil, can you name this compound using IUPAC rule? Fadil, you are there? No response. Taizir, you are there, Taizir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. How you will name this compound?
My IUPAC name.
Yeah. You know it?
Ma'am, give me a minute, ma'am. 1 second.
Okay, no problem. I'll give you the rules again. In IUPAC rule, ethers are considered as derivative of the longest hydrocarbon. So when you look into this compound, one side there is CH3, other side is a 3-carbon chain. So 3-carbon chain, this will be the main hydrocarbon, and the longest, so the shortest part will be taken as along with oxygen as a derivative.
So ma'am, it will be methoxy isopropyl.
ISO is a common naming system. In IUPAC, we use the number.
Or methoxy 2-propene.
Okay, let's see. That means in normal hydrocarbon, when we count the number 1, 2, 3. On the second carbon, which group you have? What is the group?
Methoxy.
Methoxy, because OCH3, methyl plus oxy, methoxy. So that is how we write methoxy. But that methoxy group is on the second carbon. So it is 2-methoxypropane. So this is somewhat related to a normal IUPAC system, but one side you take it as a main chain and the other carbon with the oxygen together will take it as a alkoxy group.
Can you explain the name again?
Yeah. From the beginning I'll do. When you look into an ether, there is oxygen connecting the 2 carbon chains. But in IUPAC rule, we consider ethers as a derivative of hydrocarbon. Say, I'll start with symbol 1. If I take CH4, it's a methane. And if you consider CH3O, CH3, one side is a methane and from hydrogen is replaced with OCH3. So either is considered as an alkane with one hydrogen replaced with the alkoxy group. So this compound will be named as methoxy because methyl plus oxygen together, methoxy. And what was the hydrocarbon? Methane. So from methane, one hydrogen is removed and replaced with OCH3 group. That is why it is a derivative of methane. That is why it's known as methoxymethane. Same way, if you look into the first example, you have 1, 2, 3 carbon in a chain, and this will be considered as its substituent or branch. That means this branch is happening at the second carbon. That is why it's 2-methoxy and it's a propane chain.
So that means propane is the parent hydrocarbon?
Yeah. From a propane, the second carbon of the propane, one hydrogen is replaced with OCH3 group.
All right, ma'am. Yeah, got it.
So that is what in IUPAC, we take it as a derivative of hydrocarbon. But in common naming system, we consider the 2 alkyl groups separately and we use the word either along with that name. Am I clear?
Can you repeat isopropyl?
Isopropyl because in common naming system, the oxygen which is connecting the two alkyl groups. So you have to consider these two groups separately. One side is a methyl, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And in other side, you have a 3-carbon chain, but it's not a normal propyl. If it was a normal propyl, then it should be like this. O, CH2, CH2, CH3. Normal propyl mean 3 carbons in a chain. And the connection is happened through the first carbon or the end carbon. This compound's name will be methyl, normal propyl, either common naming system. But when you look into this compound and if you see the connection has happened through the second carbon, that is why it's known as isopropyl ether.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, let's try the second example by looking into this previous one. The same procedure or the same rule you can apply and you should be able to give it correct answer. Take your time. I'll give you a minute to do it. So draw the structure in your notebook. Draw the structure in your notebook and then try to name. Always think that the carbon part or the alkyl chain or aryl chain, where the more number of carbon atom is there, that will be taken as a parent chain in IUPAC name. Okay. Okay, let's try. Anybody got its common name? Anybody want to try?
Ma'am, is it isopentyl phenyl ether?
Isopentyl phenyl ether. Yeah, correct. Very good. So the compound you can see this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 carbon because in IUPAC common naming system we don't look for continuous chain. We'll just count how many carbon atoms are there. So 5 carbon means it's a pentane. But if all the 5 carbons are not in a continuous chain, so it's a isopentyl. And this side it is a phenyl because benzene is C6H6. And when benzene comes as a branch, we write it as C6H5. At that time, we call it as phenyl. So the name of the compound in a common system will be isopentyl because that is less number, 5 carbon, isopentyl phenyl ether. Okay, let's try in IUPAC. What will be the name in IUPAC system?
3-methyl butoxybenzene.
3-methyl. Okay.
Butoxybenzene.
Yeah, correct. It will be 3-methyl because in IUPAC, the longest carbon chain that is C6H5. So this is the parent chain and this will be considered as the substituent. So O, CH2, CH2, CH, CH3, CH3 will be together. But it's a 4-carbon chain with 1 branch on the 3rd carbon. So this will be 3-methyl because you have a methyl group on the 3rd carbon. And this is a butane, so it butyl, so it will be butoxy. Whatever because it will be called as alkoxy. So butyl chain means it's a butoxy, 3-methyl butoxy benzene. So in a benzene, 1 hydrogen is replaced with 3-methyl butyl chain. That is why 3-methyl butoxy benzene. Is that clear to all of you?
Ma'am, so even the substituents have to be numbered like this?
Yeah. And that numbering should be this from this carbon next to the oxygen will be number 1. If you count in the other way, CH3 group will get number 2. But that way is not correct because the number should be started from the carbon next to oxygen.
Okay, ma'am.
Because that carbon should be the first carbon.
Ma'am, so is it right if we write 3-methyl 1-butoxybenzene?
No. It will be wrong because 3-methyl butyl is the chain, right? 3-methyl
Okay,
butyl
understood, yeah.
plus oxygen. So 3-methyl butoxy.
Okay, ma'am, yeah.
And in benzene, actually the numbering should come based on the benzene, but you have only one thing. So if you draw the structure, this will be like this. CH2, CH2, like that. So it's benzene, you have oxygen, and with that butoxy, butyl compound, 3-methyl butyl chain. Right? So it will be on the first carbon. That's why we don't have to write 1 benzene like that. Okay. So I got 2 more examples based on ethers. Then we'll move to the next topic. Let's try these 2 also. I have picked only the difference in like different examples only. You can find more examples in the textbook. Please refer it to them and practice. I have taken only the ones which has got some difference, like so that I can touch up with all the different types of examples. Yeah, let's try this one. Here the difference is that you have OCH3 groups coming twice. And for these kind of compounds, you can't expect a common name because this is not a very commonly available compound. So you have to just follow IUPAC rule to name these compounds. No need to refer the common naming system. So just name it as per the IUPAC rule. So here you can see it's a main chain is a CH2, that is 1 and 2 carbon. So it's a ethane, basically it's a ethane. But here from both the carbon, 1 hydrogen is replaced with OCH3 group, right? So it will be 1, 2 dimethoxy ethane. As per the IUPAC name system. 1, 2 dimethoxy, that means 2 methoxy groups are there and that too on each carbon. That's why 1, 2 dimethoxy ethane. So if you have 2 ethers or connections in the same compound, so you have to consider it in this way. Okay, let's try the last one. It's a cyclic example, compound with cyclic group. How can we name this compound? Which will be the parent? Because IUPAC only, there is no common naming. So which will be the parent hydrocarbon and which will be the substituent? Kritya, you're there, Kritya? Just try. Kritya, can you hear me? You're there? No response. Is he there in the meeting?
Yes, ma'am. He's there.
What about Fadil?
Ma'am, actually, he and I were in a meeting right now, so we just joined. So I think he's having some problem or something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Vishesh. Yes, Kritya, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you were not, you joined late?
No, ma'am. I had just gone to the washroom. That's why I didn't hear.
Okay, no problem. Actually, I want you to answer this one. Will you be?
Could you give me a minute? I'll work it out.
Just try. Maheshwar, are you there? And Danish, what about you? Please respond. Danish, is he there in the meeting? It's very difficult to check all these things during the class. Derek?
Ma'am, here I have one doubt. Can we consider the cyclic ring as the parent chain?
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
And this will be the substituent. So if you take it as a cyclohexane with the substituent, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a cyclohexane, 6 carbon. So it's a cyclohexane with substituent. And on the first carbon atom, you have 2 methyl.
The dimethyl, yeah.
Yeah. 1,1 dimethyl. Then.
Do we need to write 1,1?
Yeah, sure. Because dimethyl mean it can be on any carbon, right? Methyl group can be anywhere. But in this example, you have both the methyl group on the same carbon. That is the first carbon. And 1,1 dimethyl then?
2.
2? Yeah, ethoxy. Very good.
Ethoxycyclohexane, right?
Cyclohexane, yeah. Very good. So this is how you will name it.
Ma'am, I just wondered, I don't understand, like for cyclic rings or benzenes, when will we take them as the parent chain and when will we take them as side chain? Because sometimes benzene can be side chain, then it will be phenyl, right, in nomenclature. But sometimes it is the main chain.
That is purely based on which side has got more number of carbon. Always the one with more number of carbon will be the parent chain. Okay. That's the rule you need to look into. Like whichever you consider oxygen at the center and you have 2 alkyl part, which alkyl has got more carbon will be taken as parent chain in IUPAC.
So like if there is an alcohol attached to a benzene, like 1 carbon of a benzene, then the alcohol will be the parent chain, right? Because that is where functional group is there.
And this is, we are talking about ethers, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, ethers. I'm saying in another example.
Okay. You want the multiple functional groups in the same compound. That's what?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's
yeah, that's what. Yeah. Right. So that's what the examples, you can get more examples in the textbook. So please go through it and practice the naming part of ethers. Now let's move to the discussion on structures of functional groups. So if you could see this diagram, in all of them, oxygen is actually connecting. You can see in a methanol or any aliphatic alcohols, you can see their bond angle is, in alcohol, oxygen of the OH group is attached to the carbon, which is a sigma bond formed by the overlap of sp3 hybridized orbital of carbon with sp3 hybridized orbital of oxygen. So there is nothing. You can see CH3OH if you take, we know that carbon is at the center and you have 4 bonds. So this is carbon is an sp3 hybridization. You have 3 hydrogen and the 4th one is OH compound. This is what we expect, but the bond angle is not exactly like a tetrahedral angle because here the overlapping is taking place between sp3 carbon and the sp3 orbital of oxygen. This is what making a single bond. So carbon oxygen bond is a single bond and that sigma bond, that is a single bond, is formed by the overlapping of sp3 orbital from carbon and sp3 orbital of oxygen together. So that is what happening a new bond, that is the sigma bond, is formed between carbon and oxygen. Here sp3 orbitals of carbon and sp3 orbitals of oxygen is connecting, and the bond angle in alcohol is slightly less than the normal tetrahedral bond angle, that is about 109 degree 28 minute, like that. It's actually tetrahedral bond angle is supposed to be 109.5 degrees, but this is slightly less than that of the normal tetrahedral bond angle. This is just for the information only, like you should be knowing like what is happening. That's just a comparison of bonds in alcohol, phenols and ether. But when you look into the phenol, the case is different, because in phenol, the oxygen is making bonds with a carbon which is sp2 hybridized. Here it was sp3 carbon and sp3 oxygen is making a sigma bond. Here the bonding is happening between carbon and oxygen, but that carbon is in sp2 hybridization. So here the bond length, the important point is carbon-oxygen bond length is 136 picometer, which is slightly less than that in methanol. So when you compare the bond length in phenol and alcohol, that is methanol, CH3OH bond, and here you take a phenol where it is making OH. So this bond length between carbon and oxygen, or OH, in phenol will be less than that of the bond length between carbon and OH, because hybridization is different in the case of phenol. Hybridization is sp2 for phenols. Am I clear with this point?
Yes, ma'am. Could you please show the previous slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, this is the first slide, and in the second slide, it's actually showing a comparison altogether. And in the third type of compounds in this chapter, that is ethers, ethers is entirely different, because you have oxygen at the center connecting the two alkyl or aryl chains. So the oxygen is making 2 lone pairs and 2 bond pairs. Out of the 6 electrons in oxygen, 2 electrons are used for making bonds with the 2 alkyl groups. So 4 electrons, that is 2 lone pairs, are left. So total 2 bond pairs are there and 2 lone pairs are there on oxygen. That means total 4 electron pairs surrounding the oxygen atom. So its arrangement of this oxygen is approximately like a tetrahedral arrangement, because for total of 4 bonds, and the bond angles is slightly greater than the tetrahedral angle, and it's almost, the bond length is almost like a same as that of alcohols. This is just a comparison in different alcohols, phenols and ethers, how the bonds and bond angles are varying. That's it. There is nothing much to explain also.
Ma'am, can you show the previous slide?
Yeah. So in a normal alcohol, it's sp3 carbon making bonds with OH. And in phenol, it is sp2 carbon making bonds with OH. And in ethers, it's actually an oxygen at the center, which is having 4 electron pairs, that is 2 bond pairs and 2 lone pairs, connecting the 2 alkyl groups. So this is the overall description of the type of bond and how the overlapping is happening during the formation of alcohol, phenols and ethers. So in ethers, you can see the bond angle, and alcohols and phenol, everything you can get to know about it in the diagram itself. All the comparison is given for these 3 types altogether. Right. Can I move to the next topic?
Ma'am, 4 minutes left now. If you can do it, then
Yeah, we'll just start because the first reactions are already learned. You learned in grade 11, the preparation reactions. So next topic is preparation. As the same pattern you will see in the previous alkyl and aryl halide, same procedure we follow. So now we discussed about the nomenclature introduction part and type of bonding we analyzed. And now we are moving to the preparation method, then physical and chemical properties. Preparation. So write as important side heading, preparation of alcohol. Alcohols can be prepared from different sources. And the first and the important reaction is from alkene. This is one of the reaction we discussed in grade 11. That is the hydration. Acid catalyzed hydration. Hydration means adding water. Adding H2O is known as hydration. And you're using a catalyst, which is an acid. That is why acid catalyzed hydration. The H plus ion, which is an acid, act as a catalyst for this reaction. And you're adding a molecule of H2O across the double bond. That is alkene. So what happened? H2O, H will go to one carbon and OH will go to the other carbon. You can use a Markovnikov's rule here. Always hydrogen and OH. If you see H and OH, H will prefer to go to the carbon with more hydrogen and OH will prefer to go to the carbon with less hydrogen. That's just the Markovnikov's rule. So you can find out the major product by applying the Markovnikov's rule. You may get the other product also. The next product is CH3, CH2, CH2OH is a minor product, but as you can see, it's not shown over here because in organic reaction, we basically focus will be given for the major product. That's why I told you like all these reactions are interconnected. It's repeatedly coming. You learned this reaction as the reaction of alkene in grade 11. Now this is actually a preparation method for the alcohol. So write the points and also the equation. Am I clear here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's actually very clear. You have to just add one molecule of H2O across double bond. Double bond will be broken and H will added to the one carbon and OH will be added to the other carbon. That's what it's a general reaction. This is the general reaction and this is one particular example. And the H plus should be shown on the arrows because without the catalyst, this reaction will not happen or it will be very, very slow reaction without the presence of acid. So you have to show H plus ion on the arrows. That is why this method is known as acid catalyzed hydration. So with this, I'm ending today's discussion because this is already known to you. That's why I discussed here. The next coming reactions will be new to you. So we'll discuss it on Sunday. So please go through the points we discussed so far from this chapter and then come prepared for this further discussions on Sunday. Any doubts in the points we discussed?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Before you leave,